When Bloodlines 2 launches, players will be given the chance to pledge themselves to one of four very different vampire clans: Brujah, Tremere, Ventrue, and Banu Haqim. These aren't simply cosmetic choices or different sets of abilities, they represent entire philosophies of unlife, with each clan bringing its own history, supernatural disciplines, and playstyle strengths and weaknesses. Understanding these clans is crucial, because the decision you make at character creation will shape not only how you fight, but also how you interact with the world and how others respond to you. Let's begin with the Brujah, often referred to as the rabble or punks of the vampire world. Historically, they were philosopher kings, guardians of knowledge and debate, but in the modern nights, they've become more closely associated with rebellion, street power, and a barely contained rage against the system. In Bloodlines 2, that legacy translates directly into their combat style. Brujah are physical powerhouses. They thrive in direct confrontation, excelling in melee combat, heavy strikes, and crowd control. For players who want to charge into a room and let fists, claws, or raw strength do the talking, the Brujah are the perfect fit. The trade-off, of course, is subtlety. They aren't stealth specialists, nor are they masters of long-range combat. Playing a Brujah means embracing aggression, but also dealing with the vulnerabilities that come when brute force meets a clever opponent. On the other side of the spectrum are the Tremere, a clan shrouded in secrecy and mistrust. Once mortal mages, they transformed themselves into vampires through forbidden sorcery, and ever since, their mastery of blood magic has set them apart. To other kindred, the Tremere are both indispensable and unnerving, a clan whose power is matched only by the suspicion they inspire. In gameplay terms, the Tremere represent a ranged, tactical style. Instead of smashing enemies apart with brute strength, they manipulate Vitae itself, boiling blood in their victims, launching supernatural projectiles, or turning the very lifeblood of their foes into a weapon. For players who prefer precision, timing, and a little distance from the chaos of the battlefield, the Tremere offer a unique way to dominate. Yet this sorcery comes at a price. Tremere may lack durability compared to frontline clans, and their reliance on blood magic can make them resource hungry. Playing Tremere means thinking strategically, knowing when to strike, and ensuring you always have the Vitae reserves to unleash your powers when it matters most. Then we have the Ventrue, often called the Clan of Kings. Where the Brujah fight with fists and the Tremere with sorcery, the Ventrue wields something far subtler: authority. They are aristocrats, financiers, and puppet masters who believe it is their birthright to rule, and they use their vampiric disciplines to bend others to their will. In Bloodlines 2, the Ventrue are likely to embody control-based gameplay, excelling in powers of domination and resilience. A Ventrue player might be able to turn an enemy into a temporary ally, confuse opponents, or simply endure punishment better than most. This makes them less explosive than the Brujah or Tremere, but potentially far more versatile in both combat and dialogue. The drawback? Ventrue are often portrayed as selective feeders, unable to drink from just anyone, and their reliance on manipulation rather than raw damage means they may feel slower or less direct in combat situations. But for players who want to play the long game, dominating not through brute force, but through careful influence, the Ventrue are unmatched. Finally, there is the Banu Haqim. Once known as the Assamites, this clan originated in the Middle East and historically took on the role of judges and assassins among vampires. They are disciplined, moralistic, and terrifyingly efficient when it comes to eliminating their targets. In Bloodlines 2, they bring a stealth-oriented playstyle, excelling in infiltration, silent takedowns, and calculated strikes. Where the Brujah smash through the front door, the Banu Haqim slip in through the shadows, deal with their enemies quietly, and vanish before anyone realizes they were there. This makes them ideal for players who enjoy patience, planning, and a methodical approach to encounters. The disadvantage, however, is clear. If a Banu Haqim is caught in open combat, they may find themselves at a severe disadvantage compared to more durable or aggressive clans. To play Banu Haqim is to embrace risk and precision, living in the tension between control and exposure. Taken together, these four clans provide a remarkable range of options right from the start. Brujah for raw power and rebellion, Tremere for sorcery and strategy, Ventrue for manipulation and control, and Banu Haqim for stealth and surgical precision. Each clan doesn't just alter your combat style, they shape how you fit into the political and social fabric of Seattle's vampire society. Choosing one is more than a matter of mechanics. It's about deciding what kind of vampire you want to be in a city where every decision carries weight, and every clan has its own place in the delicate balance of power. While the launch version of Bloodlines 2 offers 4 distinct clans to choose from, Paradox and the Chinese Room have already confirmed that 2 additional clans will be available as downloadable content: the Toreador and the La Sombra. Their inclusion is important not just because they add more variety, but because each represents a very different flavor of vampire identity within the world of darkness. These clans bring with them unique disciplines, philosophies, and playstyles that expand the scope of the game far beyond its initial offering. Let's begin with the Toreador, often described as the artists or divas of the kindred. At first glance, they are the clan of beauty, passion, and art. Their members are poets, musicians, actors, visionaries, and seducers who cling to the aesthetics of human culture even after death. But beneath that polished exterior lies something more complicated: an obsession that borders on addiction and a vanity that can be as dangerous as it is alluring. In gameplay terms, Toreador are traditionally fast, graceful, and socially adept. They thrive in situations where charm, seduction, and agility can open doors, or close them just as quickly. In Bloodlines 2, players who choose the Toreador will likely find themselves rewarded for quick movement, stylish combat, and exploiting social encounters to their advantage. Imagine darting across a battlefield with supernatural speed, or using charisma and allure to gain access where brute force would fail. The trade-off, however, is that Toreador are rarely built for endurance. Their elegance comes at the cost of durability, making them vulnerable if caught in prolonged combat or forced into situations where charm alone cannot save them. Playing a Toreador is about precision and flair, about choosing your moments carefully, and about weaving together social dominance with bursts of supernatural agility. By contrast, the La Sombra occupy a much darker niche. Known as the Shadows of the Camarilla, they are masters of manipulation not through charm, but through fear and the supernatural control of darkness itself. In lore, the La Sombra were once leaders of the Sabbat, the most feral and destructive sect of vampires, but in modern nights, some have defected, seeking to claim power within the more structured Camarilla. They embody ambition and ruthlessness, believing that vampires are predators and should embrace their superiority over humanity without apology. Mechanically, the La Sombra bring their signature discipline, Oblivion, which allows them to manipulate shadows, summon tendrils of darkness, and even snuff out light. In Bloodlines 2, this translates into a playstyle that emphasizes ambush, battlefield control, and psychological intimidation. A La Sombra player might cloak themselves in shadows to remain unseen, then unleash a devastating strike at the perfect moment. They might corral enemies with living darkness, forcing them into disadvantageous positions. Unlike the Toreador, who dazzle and seduce, the La Sombra dominate through dread and overwhelming presence. The downside to playing a La Sombra is subtler, but no less impactful. Their reputation in the world of darkness is one of cruelty and mistrust. Other kindred may be reluctant to ally with them, and their powers could come with costs or limitations that balance their raw strength. In role-playing terms, choosing La Sombra means embracing moral ambiguity, or abandoning morality altogether. They are a clan for players who want to revel in the darker side of vampiric existence, to step into the role of predator without apology. For players, their arrival means one thing above all: greater freedom of expression. Whether you're seducing your way through a nightclub as a Toreador, or dragging enemies into the abyss as a La Sombra, these DLC clans remind us that in the world of darkness, there is no single way to be a vampire. Each lineage tells a different story, and with Toreador and La Sombra on the table, those stories become even richer, stranger, and more personal.